Okay. Welcome to the show, everybody. How we doing? I appreciate you all tuning in. Episode 1004 of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in to BD4. And as you can see by the thumbnail of this episode, by the title of this episode, we are going to dive into the Yankee bullpen this time as a unit, as a collective. We're going to talk about it. We have spent a lot of this offseason diving into some of these bullpen arms that the Yankees either brought over last year, midway through, or have signed or traded for this offseason. Done a lot of that, diving into the individuals. But in this episode, I want to talk about the Yankee bullpen and the confidence level that we may or may not have in it. And what we could see out of it this season with some of the new faces and, of course, some of the returning faces. Last season it was the bullpen that in a vacuum it struggled. It was not a good year. Overall, its performance, over the course of the regular season, the Yankee bullpen was 23rd in ERA. They were 21st in FWAR. In the wild card series against Boston, they held a 4.05 ERA. And in the league division series against Toronto, they had a 6.86 ERA. Terrible. So there wasn't really a good point for this bullpen. You thought after the deadline it'd be good as a whole. Still wasn't good. Dealt with injuries, dealt with underperformance, dealt with guys who were just never good pitching like that. My biggest issue with the bullpen last year was its lack of velocity. I feel like the lack of velocity had a domino effect on literally everything else. Because if you look at the pen, they were 24th out of 30 in fastball velocity. And I think that was a big reason that they were 27th in fastball usage. And because they were 27th in fastball usage, I think that's why they were second in walk rate. And when I mean second in walk rate, I'm talking about, I was wondering why the hell that sounded weird. 22nd. That was a typo on my notes. They were 22nd in walk rate. As in they walked a lot of guys. In English, most of their relievers, since they didn't throw super hard, they lacked trust in their fastballs. And they spammed off speed and breaking since they didn't have a power fastball in their back pocket. And that led to a lot of walks because they were consistently afraid to come inside balls. And they were always outside the zone with their off speed. And I also think part of the reason why they walked a lot of guys was because they allowed a lot of home runs. They were 21st in home runs per 9, as in they allow a lot of homers. And again, you don't have a fastball to challenge hitters with, and sometimes you're forced to throw a fastball when you're behind in a count. Now you got to groove 93 down the dick, and it gets crushed. So a big reason for all of that was because they didn't have enough guys with what I like to call FU fastballs. And so, a lot of people, a lot of Yankees fans have, turned on Matt Blake, which I find the oddest time to turn on Matt Blake was a season like last year. Because if there's anybody you should blame for the bullpen not pitching up to expectation, I don't even know if it was expected to be that good, but I had some high hopes for it, I'm not going to lie. But I feel like if there's anybody to blame, it's not Matt Blake for last year's bullpen. It should be Cashman, Steinbrenner, or the nerds, the front office. You blame the front office because the Yankees' philosophy, and it's one that's understandable, But their philosophy in terms of acquiring bullpen arms, it's why pay high price for a relief pitching arm? Like why pay a lot of money for a top end name when relievers can be volatile, when you can find guys off the scrap heap with untapped potential and good stuff that Matt Blake can do magic with, right? But I think you can't blame Blake because it's become such a part of their formula and attacking the bullpen that they have like spammed that strategy a little too much the last couple of years. And last year it got really heavy, where it was just an entire bullpen full of project arms. And you're just like, here, Matt, fix this guy, fix that guy. You know, it's like trying to plant a garden in complete shade. You know, tell me how that works. It's like going to a mechanic with a car that's been in 18 accidents and being upset that, you know, your car is not good enough, that he can't fix. It's just, I'm struggling to find an analogy here, but you get the point. I mean, Matt Blake has showed us time and time again, like he's turned plenty of guys into above average arms, and he's even turned a couple of guys into all-stars over the years. But nobody wants to remember that. Everybody wants to point to the 10% that don't work out, when the success rate is very low in doing what Matt Blake has done at a very high level. So I think the positives from last year was that the Yankees had a strong underlying formula with the bullpen. I think Matt Blake and Sam Brend, in the Yankees, they like to emphasize changeups and splitters and sinkers. And because they throw a lot of those types of off speed, the Yankees were 5th in ground ball percentage, and they were also 6th in K rate. They were also 1st in O swing percentage, which is the percentage of time that guys swing at a pitch outside the zone. The Yankees got guys to do that more than anybody else in baseball. And I think Blake has a big part in that. When you can get ground balls and get swings and misses, that's a perfect formula. Right? You want that. Problem is, when the ball was put in the air, it left the park often. But I think Matt Blake is a big part in getting all those types of swings and misses and ground balls. You know, Fernando Cruz comes here. He's an older player who never had a great season before. Comes here, has a career year. That forkball he throws was getting a lot of ground balls. It was getting a lot of swing and miss. Tim Hill, older player who has suddenly had career numbers with the Yankees. That sinker gets a ton of ground balls. Luke Weaver, another journeyman who came in here, starter who didn't work out, and he ends up having career seasons as a reliever with the Yanks. Clay Holmes, you know, Matt Blake did the same thing with him. You've got starting pitchers and flex guys, same thing. Max Fried, Carlos Rodon. He's added and tweaked their sinkers and changeups in there. Ryan Yarbrough comes here. He switches up the grip on his changeup to make it more effective. He's added one-seamers to guys' pitch mixes, and it gets a lot more ground balls on this pitching staff. So, while I am just as frustrated as anybody with the Yankees still rolling out this idea of bringing in more unproven, high upside guys, I still think we do need to realize that high upside is means that there's still a prospect of a good bullpen in there. You know, like we shouldn't just focus on the low end of that, because there is a world where you can see the bullpen improve this year to being, I don't know, top 10. I think it's possible. I think the added velocity is going to be huge. I do. You're getting a full season of Bednar, of Camilo Doval, of Yeri De Los Santos, of Brent Hedrick. You're adding in Angel Chavili, and Rafael Montero, and, toss in Cade Winquist, if you will. You've also got guys in the rotation right now that a couple of them could be in the pen in the second half. Ryan Weathers and Louis Seal and Cam Schlittler. You never know. Or even Carlos Lagrange could be a part of that bullpen come second half. If you look at the bullpen last year from August 1st on, so after the deadline when they added Camilo and Bednar, they went from 24th in velo to 16th. So they took a pretty big jump. So with that, adding in the rest of the guys you added in over the winter, I think you have potential for higher fastball usage this year. I think you've got potential for lower walk rates, for maybe lower home run rates, and at the same time retaining the similar amount of strikeouts and ground balls in play. I think between some of those guys that we just mentioned, the thought process is, well, if we keep stacking up on high upside arms, the odds of getting good ones increase the more that we add. They're just playing the numbers game. But it's fair to also question, is it more than just the lack of fastball trust, and is it more than just the reliance on off speed that's led to some of these walk issues? Is some of it simply from inconsistent command? Right? Because quite a few of the high leverage arms from last year were never really big time command guys to begin with. Fernando Cruz has always had walk issues. Camilo Doval has always had walk issues. When Devin Williams came over, he came over as a guy who did walk a lot of guys. But overall, I still think the Yankees are losing a lot of dead weights at the end of the day. The bottom line could still be good. Because you go back to the pen from last year, and between Mark Leiter Jr. and Ian Hamilton and Johnny Lasagna and Devin Williams even, those four guys produced a combined ERA of 4.58 in 180 and 2/3 innings last year. That's an underwhelming, if you put that into one player, that is a below average starter who pitched a lot of innings for you. It's damn near 200 innings of an ERA closer to 5 than 4. And, are the replacements guaranteed to do better than that? Of course not. No, they could very well struggle too. But again, I stand by my point when I say the upside of the guys they have now is a whole lot higher than the upside of those guys that were here last year. Outside of Devin Williams, who I think just didn't fit here and will be fine. But Camilo Doval is filthy. That guy came here. He wasn't good. He's filthy. Talent matters. He's been an all-star before. He got some big saves down the stretch in that playoff run for the Giants. Big ones against the Dodgers a few years back. Got great metrics. Gets good movement on his pitches. He gets some insane velocity on that cutter. Tough arm angle to pick up. Guys like Angel Chavili and Jake Bird, or Angel Chavili and Jake Bird, they've pitched in a terrible ballpark for their careers. Coors Field, we know that impacts pitch movement significantly. Your pitches will not break the same. And obviously the ball flies out of the park there. Colorado as an organization, they're terribly behind with pitching analytics. The Yankees are very advanced. Jake Bird's got an insane breaking ball that moves away from righties. Check out our Jake Bird episode a few months ago. But he comes here. He was burnt out at the end of the year. That was a conversation. Angel Chavili, really good stuff. Check out that episode. We touched on him a few weeks back. Rafael Montero, guy with a good fastball. Some interesting off-speed stuff. We just did an episode on him. Can Matt Blake get more strikes out of him? He's good at that. Hedrick is an interesting name. We also did a recent episode on him. Yerry De Los Santos, people forgetting about him. He did well last year. Comes in, puts up an ERA in the threes. He throws hard. He's got good movement on the two-seam, good drop on the changeup. A lot of people like Paul Blackburn. There are some good metrics there. Maybe we'll do an upcoming episode soon on Blackburn and Yerry. Because those are two guys that really aren't being talked about, especially Yerry, because of the injury. But that's all I'm trying to say, is there is upside to this bullpen as much as there is question. And I don't think people are focusing in on the upside enough. Again, you have to think of it with the mindset of the bullpen they've got right now entering March is not going to be the bullpen they have entering October. And they will be entering October. Let's not be silly. So that's it. That's what we got. We're not going to bother cutting to a break or anything. We're just going to wrap it up right here. So what do you guys think about this bullpen? Your confidence level entering the season, maybe give me a 1 to 10. Me personally, I would say, if we're just talking overall, what's this bullpen going to look like at the end of the day, like the bottom line, I would say I'm at like a 7. I'm pretty confident. 6.5 maybe, but I would say 7. Because I think they have the depth. Again, even if some of these moves don't work to change things up, they've got that kind of depth. So, I do wish they did more, don't get me wrong. When you've got the resources, you should be able to do more. Just like Judge and Stanton were public about. But what do you guys think? Appreciate you all, and I'll see you very soon. Go Yanks. Hey guys, thank you for listening to BD4. Be sure to follow us on social media, subscribe to us on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.